Today on the Sauna Bench, we sit with Brian, who is perhaps the most researched, yet probably, as of this recording, the least experienced sauna aficionado in the world. One of the things that I do in the world of sauna is offer consultation services. I don't offer the service to make money, but more to help others realize their authentic sauna dreams. And the other reason is that I do love to help. My entire day would probably get sucked up by answering questions and helping others along through email and phone calls and stuff. So I really have to kind of put a little lid on things. But I get to meet some great people through the SaunaTimes consultations. And today you will hear from one of them, Brian from Austin, Texas, last name withheld, as he is on the Witness Relocation program. Brian and I had a SaunaTimes consultation session. Then he came back with several additional sauna questions, and many of them were what I call 400 level thinking. These consultations are often like tennis for me, where the harder the ball gets hit into my court, the harder I hit it back in the client's court. I found myself engaged in long volleys with Brian. The more he researched, the more engaged I became with our dialogue. Bob Dylan rightfully says that you don't have to be a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. For when we feel good heat, it's all over. So why should we listen to a guy who has done nothing but research about sauna without much sitting on the bench himself? Well, I'll tell you why. Brian's approach to his own backyard sauna is fresh. He has an uncanny ability to process information from multiple sources. Brian applies data points without prejudice. He can smell BS and can sift through pedantic chatter. Brian is a weatherman who has figured out which way the sauna wind blows. We dive into the holy trinity of good sauna, heat, steam, ventilation. You'll hear about his evolution from barrel saunas to kit saunas, how he graduated away from custom sauna building in his backyard and also away from hiring a local contractor in his area. You'll hear about his conclusions of ceiling height and ventilation, all spot on, my opinion. My 35-year, 3 times a week, multiple sauna session build with my own hands, experienced opinion. Our texts and emails went on and on. Most people come at me after experiencing good sauna and then are compelled to make it happen for themselves. Not Brian. Brian is admittedly very sauna inexperienced, but I dare say that he is one of the most researched sauna person I know. He attacked the project of his own backyard sauna with rigor, like an inexhaustible energy. I think you'll find his conclusions and choice for his own backyard sauna very interesting. We got to sauna recently during my trip to Austin, Texas, where I was on my own version of Witness Relocation program. A lot of good things come out of conversation on the sauna bench, and there we were in Austin, Texas, sweating it out and talking it out. I'm happy to report that this conversation is one of those experiences. And so I'm pleased to present this conversation to you with Brian, the world's most researched and least experienced sauna nut in the world. On a final note, as of this podcast, Brian is now becoming more experienced. He's just taken delivery of his own backyard sauna and is about to lose himself in his own thermal goodness. 3 cheers to Brian. Thanks, man. I've enjoyed getting to know you and playing sauna tennis. This show is brought to you by Timber Sauna Company. I call them the Timber Brothers. Who is Timber Sauna Company? Well, they are a family of 7 brothers from the UP of Michigan, and I think all of them have been splashing around in a sauna bucket in their grandparents' sauna well before they could walk. This is the kind of DNA that makes good sauna and good sauna builders. A spirit of giving, caring, pride, and soul for good sauna building. Timber Brothers have perfected the Flat Pack Performance Series. How do I know this? Because I've been consulting with Joel for many months, well, probably over a year, maybe even 2 now, on how to provide what people are looking for in good sauna. And if you or someone you know is ready for a kick-ass authentic sauna, chances are you'll be connected first to Dan, one of Joel's 6 brothers, who I've also been working with for several months, probably a year, maybe even longer. Dan is a pro. He's transitioning away from his restaurant service business, a high-pressure role with multi-million-dollar clients, into the role of sauna customer service. He's a straight shooter who will give it to you straight. Those that know me know that I've been helpful in getting other sauna businesses off the ground. The Timber Brothers Performance Series hits the sweet spot between custom builds that get built on site or craned in over your house versus sauna kits that often leave the homeowner scratching their heads, watching YouTube videos, and trying to figure out how to put it all together. Or even barrel saunas that have limitations best left for the search bar on SaunaTimes.com. We talk about the last 100 feet, what happens between where the flatbed truck pulls up at the curb and your final resting spot for your sauna in your backyard. This is the choke point. But I've helped Timber Brothers perfect the white glove cherry on top deliver and assemble model. From the time a Timber Brother shows up with your new sauna on a flatbed to the first fire up is often just half a day's worth of work. Have your cooler ready and be ready to meet a warm-hearted, friendly Timber Brother. They care as much about your new sauna as you do. And I don't say this lightly. Timber Brothers has proved their mustard with me, and their kick-ass saunas are fairly priced. As you know, when you feel good heat, it's all over. And it's all over with Timber Brothers and their Performance Series sauna. Go to www.timbersaunaco.com to learn more. Well, here we are. welcome listeners to Sauna Talk, and it's a beautiful day. I mean, I usually don't sauna in days like this. This is summer. This is a Minneapolis summer day. We're in Austin, Texas, and I'm here with Brian. Hi, Brian. Welcome to Sauna Talk.
Hey, nice to be here.
And Brian is on the Witness Relocation Program. You don't have a big online presence.
Nope, I prefer online to stay anonymous if possible.
Good for you. Is that and what's the reasoning there?
Oh, just in general, like I work in software industry and just data privacy in general, and just, you know, people sell information and try to get whatever you can out of you on the internet, so I just prefer to have a low profile.
Good on you. I appreciate that. But Austin, Texas is your home.
Yep.
And we know your name is Brian, and that's as far as it goes.
Correct.
That's great. So Brian, you're in the software industry, and you like to research, and I'm getting to know you like I have over what? It's been 3-4 months maybe?
Yeah, I love to research. I don't like to throw money away, basically.
Yeah. Tell us some other things that you've researched besides sauna, and then we'll talk sauna.
Everything I buy. Whether it's building computers, guitars, whatever hobby I get into, I end up getting almost my hobby is researching into a lot of things. Like I get really into it, start learning about it, and then kind of use the thing, then go on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. So after you're done researching a segment or a category or something, do you leave it behind, or do you stay up on research, or do you usually just go to the next thing?
I usually go to the next thing, because like once I have whatever I have, I also don't want to dwell on it. Like sauna might be a little bit different because there's ways you can improve it, right? Like when you think about the ventilation, it might be like, oh, I could add another hole or do something differently and see what kind of modifications it causes. So that's kind of interesting.
So you'll stay in tune after your sauna is up and running and you're rocking and rolling. You'll probably stay active.
Yeah. But it's a big difference from going from not from basically being ready to buy a $4,000 barrel to maybe I should custom build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you went across the whole gamut, and that's how one of the ways we got in touch with each other is you went deep and you researched a shit ton as it relates to sauna. And is there any, just to put context for listeners, do you have any idea how many hours you've invested into researching sauna?
Probably 40 or 50, if not more. Probably more like 80, 90, and I think about it a lot.
Well, as I think about it, I think it's 40 or 50 a week for the last 3 months.
Oh no, it hasn't been a week. It's been mostly after work. It's been a bit of a second job though, but it's been fun, right? Like there was a lot of learning and a lot of interesting physics and like reading all the different opinions and talking to a whole lot of different people about it's been all really interesting.
Yeah, there are good people in the space of sauna, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where have you gone to research? What are your main? We're just going to throw some steam for a minute.
Yeah.
Online, internet.
Oh yeah, like
social media. Where did you go?
I mean, obviously, like they have the Facebook groups for DIY. They have your website. They have the Reddit's, the subreddit. They have, and like those have been like the biggest source of information from out there. It was like hearing about Lassie's book, which I listened to your podcast with Lassie. I've actually talked with Lassie a number of times. As well, I've talked with you. I've talked with. I ran across Nils in Vermont as one of the options.
Definitely.
I've talked with him a little bit. He's awesome.
Yep.
And then obviously I've also seen Trumpkin's notes, right? And like those were like the kind of like triangulating between those three sources, right? Your ebook, the Trumpkin notes, and Lassie's book have been like the most valuable resources.
Wonderful, good. So, for those interested in building their own sauna, what top 2 or 3 learnings could you share that and I'm asking you to be very bold in your decision making and your research. It's a broad question, but what are the top 2 or 3 things that you've learned that aren't maybe so obvious to somebody digging around and trying to make a sauna happen for themselves?
Well, so I grew up in the South. There's not a lot of sauna in the South. There's not a lot of sauna in America in general. So what ended up happening is most of my experiences were, going to a YMCA, Mexico or something, and I'd go to sauna and just be like this blistering, dry, hot room that felt okay, but it was nothing special. I much prefer steam rooms, right?
Yeah.
You get in there with the boiler and the steam's just billowing in and water's dripping from everywhere. And I love that. And I loved getting out of there, and I loved going cold plunge and then warming up and then going and do that. That was like the highlights of some of my trips when that whole setup was there.
Yeah, and that was where specifically? You said Mexico?
Different resorts in
resorts?
Mexico. Like in most spas nowadays will have like what they call they'll have like a sauna, and then they'll have a steam room and then a cold plunge and then you get like a hot tub afterwards. And I've loved that. And then I was talking with a doctor, and the doctor was telling me how he had got a barrel sauna in his backyard for $4,000, $5,000, something like that, and how he absolutely loved it, and he loved all the steam. And I was like, "What do you mean steam and sauna?" And then I realized that I'd never taken a sauna, so that was like the first big lesson is, oh, it's actually humid, right? And then I started reading about Lulu and really reading about it and realized I didn't know anything about it. So I started, and then that's when I found out I absolutely loved it. I liked it more in the steam room because you can control and you can change the heat. And then so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go buy a barrel. I'm going to go to Costco. I'm going to get a barrel. And I started researching that. It's the first time I come across the subreddit and people just basically saying barrels are terrible. And I was like, well, why is that? Right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the shape. So that was the second big learning, is that most of the off-the-shelf stuff is bad. So I started researching and running across all the kits, and then just realized there were so many options out there. But then realizing like all the kits kind of fell short as well. Like they weren't insulated. They were smaller wood. And so like I started quickly.
And you'd have to build them yourself. I mean, you have to have some sort of resourcefulness or buddies that have tools and stuff. It isn't just like a kit shows up and then you push a button and you have a sauna.
Right, and then it's very rare to see people like it is what you'll be happy with, but like no one really holds up kit saunas as here's this great solution, right? They're bad to mediocre to you just can do what you can do if you want to get some warmth, right?
But generally speaking, a step up from barrel in your research?
Yes, right, because just in general, like the high point of the barrel is in the middle where nobody's head's at. So you're losing most of your heat, right?
Yeah.
And then you really can't kind of lean back against the walls because they're curved. But some people love them, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
People are happy with the money they're spending and they like what they have. It doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not.
Beautiful.
But as long as people understand like the trade-offs.
That's great. That's a great summary. And we're kind of back to square one in a way. I mean, you went all the way around the horn and back again, and I think you really touched on something remarkable. It's like there is no perfect sauna. It's like what sauna is right for you, right?
Yep.
And tell us what sauna is right for you. Tell us what. So you don't have a sauna right now, and you live in Austin. You have a pool in your backyard, like a good Austinite should, and you're leaning into this this practice, this contrast therapy, this thermal therapy. And tell us where you ended up with your research and then ultimately your decision.
So for a while, I was going to plan on building, just because when I talked to the local Finleo or Finlandia builders, I felt what they were offering for the price they wanted seemed ridiculous. Not naming any names, but it seems closer to the car industry than anything else I've ran into in the U.S. It really feels like, okay, well, there's an MSRP in it, and then each dealer can decide what they want to upcharge and how they want to upcharge. And so I realized that wasn't an option. If I wanted to stay around the 10,000 range, I think there were some things from, BZB and B-Sauna that were probably some of the better ones I saw, but they still had all the same kit problems. So I decided I was going to go custom, but, and I actually have a handyman that I know and trust, and he's a great guy, to help me build it, but he's never built a sauna. He doesn't really know what to look for. He has never done anything like it. So I was worried that I was going to have to teach him and learn as much. And then I started thinking, okay, this is just too much of a time investment. I'd rather, time is money, right?
Yeah.
And you can choose to spend your time or you can choose to spend your money. And I'm in a position right now where I prefer to spend money. And so it was like, can I find anybody to help build me something quality? And then I started looking at custom, right? And then kind of where my sauna is going to go in my backyard is down, it's only a 3-foot drop of steps, but it's down 3 foot of steps. And so my options were for custom was to get somebody to come in and build it, which it means I need to house them for weeks at a time, and the price gets obscenely expensive.
And then you get tired of seeing them every morning with Mountain Dew bottles and, who's coming and who's going. Whether it's a shed or a sauna or who knows what, you got people coming and going for a good chunk of time, right?
Right. And then the other option is the custom pre-builts. But then, you'll see them quoted out there without naming names. You'll see them in the low 20s to upper 20s, right? But that's the price of constructing the unit. You still got to pay for it to be on a flatbed and driven over to you. And then chances are you either bobcats or a crane to put it in your backyard, which is probably anywhere from another $5,000 to $15,000. So that was too prohibitively expensive. So I was kind of stuck looking for a better option.
Okay. So there you were. That you're at this point of crossroads, or not crossroads, but almost a dead end at this point where there's no light bulb, there's no aha moment. We can cool down and stay on this thing, or do you want to dig into what the aha moment was for you?
We can keep going.
Let's keep going. Good.
Yeah. So the aha moment was so I've made no secret of talking about all the people I've talked to, and so of the people that have consulting services, yourself, Lassie. I don't know if Nils advertises it, but he does do it if you ask him. I talked to everyone and said, what are my options? What can I do? And what's out there? And then, what's your take on the great ceiling debate of sauna, right? And the different heater options. And I had a lot of great conversations with a lot of people, including you. And you actually put me in touch with two guys. I guess they're both out of Michigan now, but at the time, their brothers, one's in Minnesota, one's in Michigan. Who are looking at putting together something that would hopefully solve exactly what I was looking for. It was something that it was a little bit higher quality. It was a little higher quality than the kits, but it wasn't a fully built custom that had to be lifted in, and it was a solution that they're trying to figure out, which isn't going to require me paying for somebody to live at my house for 3 weeks and build a sauna. So I think it's kind of hopefully the happy medium for people who don't have the time to DIY, because if you have the time to DIY, that's going to be your best option. You're exactly what you want. You can research, you're going to learn the ins and outs. You're going to, whatever height, whatever dimensions, whatever heater, you can do everything you want. But
I'm derailing Brian in mid-sentence with a little water over his head. This is awesome. Doesn't it feel great?
Yeah.
See, that's the great thing about sauna is water. You touched on something, and we'll get right back to this, but you touched on something about, your first experience to real sauna had water. Water not just for the sauna rocks to create steam, but copious amounts of water in the hot room is fine.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm really looking forward to doing that I read two different things that I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm assuming it's a guy. It could have been anybody, but they came in and said one of their favorite things to do in their home sauna was to walk in and drop a couple of liters on the rocks and walk out for 15 minutes and just come into like a crazy humid room, almost like a steam room, and I can't wait to try that. I've never done that. The other thing I've heard that people do is they'll just come in and take a bucket and splash water all over the walls. They have a nice drain system to do effectively the same thing, to release a ton of humidity and make it really humid.
And acclimate the walls, the benches, the whole shebang. So there you were, you're researching, and I connected you up with Joel and Dan from Timber Brothers, Timber Sauna Company, and you started leaning into some serious level, I guess you could call it collaboration, and applying some of your exhaustive research, your neutral research, I'll say, as a guy, as a customer. And tell us a little bit about how that evolved.
So that's been great. So you originally said, hey, I've got some people that are working on a product that could be right up your alley. You should talk with them. It was the Timber Brothers. And can we talk about what the actual product is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
let's go. I'm gonna cool down.
Okay.
You know, Brian beat me to the punch. I've had a nice bike ride this afternoon, and hey, let's dump water over our head and jump in the lake. So there you were researching about these options in the spectrum of things. And let me try to frame it up. So tell me if I'm getting it right. So not even on the spectrum is this infrared, starting like even off the page, because we know that's not sauna, and so that was off your list. It wasn't even on your list.
Right, no, it wasn't, because like what I was after is just like whole body heat, and I've been in infrared sauna, and they make you sweat like crazy, but it's not hot, and I just like that full body. And then I don't know anything, so there's no scientific basis in this, but I don't know, man. I grew up in the time where, people went in their tanning beds nonstop, and and that was the cool thing. And then actually, you know what? Doing this is actually terrible, and I'm not making any claims about infrared. Infrared may be fine, it may be perfect, it may have all the same benefits as sauna, but I don't care. I do this because it feels good, and what feels good to me is just all this heat. And just sit and kind of be enveloped in it, and that's not what infrared does. So no, it's never been an option for me.
And then the next one, well, the first one on your scale, we talked about the barrel, and you ruled that out.
Right.
And then you went into the kit option, and you looked at several kits. We summarized on that, and then you looked at the DIY build or hiring a contractor. Looked into that, and then these sauna builders that would build on site or bring the sauna down to you. And I guess you could go from 30 to 80K in that realm.
Yep.
And I connected you with the Timber Brothers.
Yes.
Joel and Dan. And tell us about the productization assistance, or you're a customer, and so this was quite an interesting collaboration, you and the Timber Brothers.
Yeah, so the Timber Brothers, what they want to do, which fits for me perfectly, is instead of shipping a kit that you put together yourself and you have to build and level it, they want to effectively flat pack a sauna, and what that means is they'll ship you 6 pieces. Right, the 4 walls, the floor, and a ceiling, and then you just need some friends, or they will help you out, lift it to where you need to go. So where I had stairs before, that was going to be a problem. Now, we think we can use a push cart and a ramp, and it's not going to be any problem. We just move the walls over.
Absolutely. And the thing that's cool about Timber Brothers is there's 7 of them, so there's always a Timber Brothers ready to show up.
Yeah, but I've been mostly with Dan and Joel, but the amazing process during this is, like, I've done a lot of research, and I've talked with you a lot. I've told all the people I've talked with, so I was trying to figure out, like, what's my style of what I wanted and what the Timber Brothers wanted to build. And it was kind of cool because we've done a lot of back and forth and playing with ideas and trying things out. And I'm hoping that what they're going to build is something that'll be a solution for people in a similar spot for me, which was, okay, I want something nicer than a kit. That has insulation, that's taller, that has the right bench heights, or correct enough bench heights, well, hopefully most people will be happy with them. But I can't afford to fly somebody out to build a custom or build a custom out of a backyard. So, I'm hoping that this will fit in that market of, oh, here's something good that people can recommend that, doesn't take a lot of know-how to put together.
Well, I can speak from another side of the same coin, is that, a lot of people come to me, a lot of sauna builders come to me, and I help from my heart. I've helped several get into the sauna building business, and there are some that take, and then there are some that give, and there are some that give and take, and it's been wonderful to collaborate with the Timber Brothers, because they really have their heart in the right place. Every one of the 7 brothers have grown up with sauna, in their DNA, their grandmother's sauna, and I hear many stories about that, the people that have grown up with sauna, but they really have their, they really wanted to make the best, they wanted to distill the best heat, steam, ventilation, the holy trinity of good sauna, and what does good heat mean, and they've been like grasshopper for me, and it's just been a joy for me to share what I've learned in my 30 years of loving this practice with proteges and guys that really have their heart in the right place and want to do it right.
Yeah, and they also want to learn a lot about it, so it's kind of interesting because the two I've talked with, one of the brothers really prefers, kind of similar to you, the big steel radiant heat, just tons and tons of just heat, right, in the Kuma and that sort of stove. And the other one really loves kind of like, more of the open mesh style, like softer steam, lower overall heat with the Iki. So it's been really cool to talk to both of them and hear pros and cons, and they're always trying to learn and experiment and do new stuff. So it's been an amazing process the entire time. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully I'll be getting mine in a few weeks here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've seen some pictures myself, and it's quite exciting. It's a cool thing to see your sauna, but not in your backyard. And then it's like opening a present on Christmas Day. The theory here is and these guys. I talked to Dan. They've done dry run assembly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They sent me a time lapse of putting one together.
And it's going great, isn't it?
Yeah.
The time lapse.
Yeah, and the other really cool thing they're doing is there's a lot more conversation about the wood types. So like cedar's so prevalent, Western cedar in America, because we've been building it for years, and a lot of people love the smell. But some people are worried about the wood dust from it. I'm not, right? Mine's going to be done in cedar. But some people are worried about it, so like what they're doing is they want to start offering like, oh well, we can give aspen, right? We can have different options for what people prefer, so they can work with people instead of just one option.
Yeah, exactly. The good, better, best theory.
Right. Yeah.
And it isn't any one. Good, better, best is probably a loose expression of it, but we could say, cost, average, premium, and super premium, and a cost of paneling. But everything is like that,
right,
with the product. And you've helped with that glass, like window, like we're looking at big window here, mm-hmm. and that's best. And, I suppose the best there would be reflective glass or some sort of concept they've been messing around with on glass.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that all comes down to preference, right? Because like these big windows look great, but like for me personally, I prefer half. I'm looking at the window. It's probably 5 feet tall, but I prefer half of that, right? Like,
yeah, man.
I like natural light, but like I prefer to look at more wood, right?
Yeah.
And just like electric's great, but like, well, I got forced into wood. So I'm not upset, but I wasn't going to.
So who held the gun to your head on wood fired versus electric?
Oh, that's simple. As I said, my area is behind a pool, and it probably would have cost $10,000 to $15,000 to dig a 240 volt trench. So that decision was made for me.
Beautiful job. And you know what? I predict you're going to love it, because you're not afraid. Like, you're into grilling and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Do you use charcoal or gas, or what do you do?
I used to. I use a pellet smoker now. That's something else I've been trying to research into. I wanted to get a stick burner, just an old school log smoker, but
yeah.
For food, I didn't want to spend the time to tend the fire, and I don't do enough long cooks. Like I don't do enough brisket or ribs, or somewhere between 5 and 20 hour cooks to really get the investment of it. So mm-hmm. I went in the middle and just got a really good pellet smoker.
So you're no
Which is
stranger to that type of heat is kind of where I'm going. A lot of people that, I won't use the word sell out. I promise that it's not a sellout. I mean, heat is
we all
heat.
know your opinions are. You call them electric toasters.
Well, some old school electric or toasters, but yeah, I mean, you're not afraid of fire. You're not afraid of that, for cooking and stuff. So I have a prediction that you're going to fall in love with the wood fire.
Oh, I think so. I love the sound of wood. I also have a feeling that I'm going to completely overheat a few times and need to open the windows and let it cool down. And
well, we can regulate that through BTUs and fuel, and we talk about latent heat. We were just talking off microphone about latent heat, and it's really not as it's not so complicated, right? Whether it's an electric sauna heater or a wood-fired sauna stove, you have this heat source that is heating rock, right? And then that rock becomes latent heat that we draw heat from when we're sitting here on this bench, throwing water, making steam and stuff. So what you're going to have is this great opportunity in your climate of Austin is to really learn and nuance and get to control the latent heat that you provide into your hot room through the rocks and the thermal mass.
Yeah, and starting off with just a little wood and figure out what's the right amount.
Yeah, it's fun. It's part of the art.
Yep.
I'll just nerd out on a couple things with you on that, Brian. So, two things. So the first one is like wood management, right? Like I find it kind of an art to have a collection of wood pieces in my hot room, like sort of ready to go at any time, and be like, after round 2, I'll pull the coals forward and I'll look and I'll just let the sauna decide. I'll let the firebox tell me, like, is it time for a log? Yeah, and then I'll just, I don't know what the right analogy is, and I'll just pick that perfect log that just fits, just by knowing how my stove burns and what BTUs are required. I'll just throw that sucker in there and not think twice about it,
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get to that point. But yeah, what's going to be is can I figure out the right way of here's exactly how much wood to put in my heater, how I like it, to get a session in, and then leave enough fuel left over to dry out the inside.
Bingo.
Clean it.
You're on, and we call that the bake and breathe method. You pull those coals forward, you're all done, and then and just let it dry out on its own. Crack the door the next day, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in the drain system Timber Brothers coming up with, speaking about that, just because of how they're doing it. It's kind of cool. Because instead of going a treated wood base, what they're going to do standard is, and I don't even know about this because I work with some people in Minnesota, but in Minnesota, ice fishing is pretty popular, right? And then I don't know a lot of people know it, but for ice fishers, they have these aluminum house bases that are meant to pull across the frozen lake and pull your ice fishing house into place. And so that's what they're building the base of their sauna on. So they want something that's not going to rot and it's going to last and just can be put on any ground. So into that, they have a drain system built in that's a trough drain that comes out in the middle, which is just kind of built into the structure, which is pretty cool. And
very cool. Yeah.
It's all slanted. You just put your ductboard on and then you just have a drain system that you can lift up your ductboard and it's there.
Part of my theories on the drain thing is I get asked a lot, do I really need a drain? Well, you don't, but generally it's a wonderful thing to have to allow for copious amounts of water, either thrown over your head or some Yahoo spills the Lolu bucket and you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, no, I mean, I already know I already said how much I enjoy humidity. I'm going to be a sloppy sauna taker. I'm going to be throwing water everywhere.
How am I doing throwing water, by the way? Are you happy?
Fine, yeah.
You want a little over your head?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So here we are. We're in Austin, Texas. We're visiting with Brian. Brian, I'm looking for the name for you. I think you're the most well-researched North America sauna customer I've ever come in contact with.
That still knows nothing about actual sauna.
Yeah, that's right. But so you're in we're almost like on opposite sides here of the sauna bench. Well, no, we're not. I mean, what I was getting at is I've taken so many damn saunas, and I've developed this as part of my DNA is to understand good heat and how it feels for me. And what's so cool about you in coming at this collaboration, I guess you could call our relationship, if you want to call it that, is you're so well researched but least experienced.
Yeah, which makes me really nervous when people ask me questions because is it the Dunning-Kruger effect where people with overconfidence know the least? That's kind of how I feel about the whole situation. So I've done a lot of research, but I really don't know anything.
Well, that's a really important point, and I'm gonna step outside and just riff on your point to that. It's like knowing where you are in that space. It's like I read a great word for someone like yourself is that you're like in first position.
Yeah.
You're in first position here, and it really it's okay that you haven't experienced 100 different saunas. You've researched enough to, and talked with experts who actually are that. And so you've been able, I think that's part of your gift and your DNA, is you're able to extract the bullshit from the real. Could I get you there?
Yeah, we'll see, but because I don't have the experience to know if it's really BS or not. I just know there's some really strong varying opinions that's really hard to tell how much those opinions actually end up mattering at the end.
Right. What we're doing here is we're de-jankifying. I'm pointing to the water bucket here, and I'm having Brian throw water over his head before we jump into this Austin pool, and so that kind of gets the sweat off. We can feel good about that. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You want to jump in the pool or save them till when we're done?
We jump in the pool.
So we're going to jump in the pool. So, Brian, in all of your research, and I think you've spent more than 40 hours.
Probably.
I was joking. I was like, man, 40 hours a week. I think you've spent. Shit, you spent 40 hours with me. What are we talking about? And I think if you got Dan from Timber Brothers, he'd say he's 400 hours. But let's just say more than 40 hours. Tell me, what are the top 3 maybe misnomers, misinformation that's out there? The top 3 things, like maybe the word debunk. What do you think? What do you want to tell listeners that that you've learned that are maybe your top 2 or 3 things of what's wrong out there, or what are bad roads that people can go down? I want to keep it broad-ended, but what's the first couple 3 things that come to mind?
One of the things that seems to be a fad that's really interesting is building sauna. A lot of people are really into the shed look where the front's elevated. And they bring that into the sauna where the front of the sauna is elevated. Don't do that. I think I saw a commercial sauna pretty recently that did that, and I don't understand why you do that. All the heat is going to go to the highest point.
So what you're talking about here is a slope ceiling in the hot room.
Right, where the lower end is at the bathers and the higher end is above the heater or the front.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, that's the traditional shed look, right? So you have a shed with a slanted roof. In the U.S., the top is, you let the water run off the back, not the front.
Oh, I see.
But it's not exactly good for sauna.
No, because you have a triangle of heat that is away from the sauna bather.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2?
The other thing I was going to say is, don't get caught up in the health benefit hype of it. Do it if it feels good, and then if a health benefit comes, anything comes from consistency, not there's no quick fix to health. As much as everybody wants to be in, so don't fall into the fad that's really in with sauna and contrast therapy right now. There's valid to it, but do it if you enjoy it. Don't do it because you think it's going to change your health style. Right on.
Well said. Is there a third? Construction, material, design.
I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of people that have a lot of hard and fast rules, and I think you got to determine what's going to be right for you, just like in everything else. If you want to really strictly follow the law Lulu and have a really small gradient of heat, you're going to have to build really high, right? But do you like the look of a really tall, small building? Or do you like something smaller, right? You have to figure out what you want. That's the biggest thing I'd say is go experience. Go to Finland, try to go to Minnesota where they have a lot of sauna, try a bunch of different options, see what you like. Just don't go by reading alone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And look at you. You went by reading alone.
Yeah, don't follow my advice. I'm still nervous about it because I'm now building one based off a bunch of conversations with people who know a lot.
Well, you listen to me. God damn it, you listen to me, so you're going to have a good sauna, and I can guarantee you that. Okay, so this sauna that we're in, and we're in an undisclosed location in Austin, Texas. How do you feel in this sauna?
It feels good, but some of the things I'm interested in, from the research I've done, I guess this is one thing I've learned. I'm almost absolutely positive that most electric sauna are set up incorrectly, and there's the whole UL thing and the temperature sensor. But I think mechanical ventilation low to pull out air would probably do a lot of wonders for this one.
Yeah. Could not agree more. Yep.
But I mean, those EQ heaters are beautiful, right? Like a lot of soft steam. It felt really good inside. But that's the one thing is just trying to figure out like the ventilation, and then I would say it'd be nice if the head was closer to the ceiling.
Yeah. So Brian is well schooled in sauna, building and design. This sauna could have better ventilation, no question. And what we'll do for this round is we want to go in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna crack the door just a little bit. So the venting in this electric sauna is not mechanical. You could call it gravity, but the air intake is not where it should be. So you can see how I have this little thing here. So, and this is what I want to talk about with you guys listening and stuff. Is Brian mentioned that there's a lot of information out there and a lot of talk, a lot of sauna talk, and I think this is a great sauna. I've adapted this sauna. I've been sauning here every night pretty much for a week or so. This is a friend of mine's place in Austin, Texas, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, it would be nice if we could fit 2 fists above our head to the ceiling. There's probably 18 inches from the upper. This is an 8-foot tall ceiling, and there's probably 18 inches from our top of our head to the ceiling, and that's something I would never do when I would build. I would definitely go with 3 steps in this sauna. And yet, I like the fact that you're not climbing like crazy, but you only come up and down 3-4 times in a sauna session, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like looking, I'm guessing this is at least like, I don't know, 16 inches for that bottom step?
I think it's 18.
Yeah, 18 is like...
I'm gonna get some water, you keep talking.
Yeah, that's not something I necessarily want to step up and down on by myself.
Are you still talking?
Oh no, I was just enjoying the heat. I was just sitting in the quiet.
You're sitting in the quiet. I bet everybody's like, "Hey, did this guy go away or what?" I went outside to get some water to make some steam here. This is round 3. So anyway, I just the more I hear about these hard, fast rules, the more I think that they're not as big of a deal as you may think. It'd be nice to have mechanical ventilation here. But I'm going to crack the door here a little bit, and we're going to make up for the lack of airflow. We don't have, this bench height optimally, but I was in here the other night, Brian, and I was just flinging a towel around a little
German
bit.
style?
Yeah, not a big deal in my opinion. What do you think?
I don't know enough yet. This goes back to the experience thing, right? Like, so, but what I don't like doing is having regrets in what I'm spending, and so what I've worked with the Timmer Brothers for is something that I feel is something that's gonna work really well and still be something that can be shipped without pain points, right? Because there's limitations, right?
Exactly.
And so, like, I think if I was going to build, and I know, Glenn, that you prefer not to go up a lot of steps or go pretty high, and you prefer like a 7.5 foot ceiling roughly, to get feet above the stones, but still have 2 benches basically as possible. Well, I guess you need a step, but I think if I was building my own, I think I'd probably go large and probably have a tall ceiling, but like shipping that on a truck is scary, and you don't want the RV where you have a 9-foot wall coming down the highway, right?
Yeah.
So I think mine's going to top out at around 8 foot, be 4 to 6 inches above the stones. So I think that'll be fine. But like, I'm not sure how much it matters here, right? Because like, my wife really wanted 2 benches, and she listened to me for 3, because for her, she's never going to sit upright on a sauna bed. She's always going to be in a corner, curled up with her feet around her. Mm-hmm. So for her, she's always going to be significantly above the stones. So for her, she doesn't care. It's like she's running, and she's like, whatever, it doesn't bother me. I'll be on the top bench wherever it is. 44 inches from the top, and my feet on the bench. So
That's where I am at right now.
Yeah.
Both my feet are up on the upper bench, and Yeah, so I think we got that going on. I like all that. I think we're in a good place. Any final words, Brian, for people into the sauna shopping market here in North America? Any other thoughts, suggestions based on your learnings or feedback? Any final words or any questions for me? I'm looking forward to chatting more with you about this stuff.
Yeah. I would say like do what's going to be right for you and worry about the trade-offs and don't worry about being 100% correct or finding everything, because nothing's going to be perfect. So it's going to just be figure out what works for you, figure out what your preferences are, and then just go from there, and you'll probably end up something that you enjoy. Because what I haven't figured out yet, and the big question I have, is for all these rules and all these standards of things to do, in software, the first 80% comes pretty closely, and the last 20 are hell. And then and you get diminishing returns as you get to 100%. So if you can get an 80% good sauna, you're probably fine. And what I don't know is how much these differences of heights and sizes and different types of heat really matter, right? You just got to figure out what you like. And so you can research all you want, but it doesn't really take the place from experience, I think.
Fantastic. What a great, I almost wanted to say nothing to that, but I do have to chime in on one, okay? It's like, I love what you said about your analogy to software design and the first 80% you can nail and stuff. And I've been thinking about an article about chasing perfection and, as it relates to this. And, if we try to chase perfection with our sauna, I don't think we'll ever get there. And I think it's going to come at a cost of enjoyment.
Depends on the person, right? Because there's people out there, and I have some of this in me, where you want to chase that because chasing it becomes the hobby. For me, though, it's so expensive to build new buildings. It's like, what's the go-between? I think what timber is doing is kind of perfect for where I am in my life right now, and kind of an in-between option. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still not an inexpensive. It's not an inexpensive building compared to DIY, right? DIY is always going to be the cheapest way, and to get exactly what you want. But that's ultimately, maybe in 10, 15 years, build my own and chase perfection on my own.
Yeah.
The one I'm building, but
beautiful.
But if you're not the type of person that cares about that, no, it's probably just going to take away your enjoyment if you worry about it too much.
Well said. Brian, thanks for being with us on Sauna Talk.
That was great.
Right on.